Very new.
Very new.
Even our national anthem is a hospital.
Okay.
You know, dance for dance.
Shake it in the dance.
They dance their life.
Was it I gave it the coloring?
I never
Maybe sing that song. Yeah, this is what they will introduce. Just reduce it. Just a little bit. Hi everyone. Hello. This is AC and welcome to another edition of Let's Give It a Voice here at the Voice of Hope Media with AC Bank. So today I am still your host. I am AC Bank and I have a very special guest on our show today. She's not new here at the Voice of Hope Media. So thank you so much for joining in. If you're just tuning in, you share, invite your friends to watch. And also because when they watch, they learn, they unlearn, and they relearn whatever they learn from whatever they've listened to in this program. So you watching, if you can hear us, indicate, and then hi, Angel Trente, how are you? So you indicate. Also, let us know where you are watching from. So today, this is actually a face-to-face show, the Voice of Hope Media. So we hardly do face-to-face like this. So you have very special occasions that we have to
I'm
meet.
always opportune.
Yeah, you're very special, you're very, very special. And I mean it. So we are gradually moving to events like this where we will be having face to face with all our special guests, where we have special topics to talk about. So if you can hear us, please let us know. Or if you cannot, still let us know. And also let us know where you're watching from. And then stay tuned, invite your friends to watch. So today, our topic of discussion on Let's Give It a Voice edition here at the Voice of Hope Media is relapse from psychosis, depression, and anxiety. Then hashtag the comeback, hashtag patients come back. You come back with a bang all the time. So if you're new here at the Voice of Hope Media, this is a safe platform where we give a voice to those difficult topics, to the difficult conversations, so as to empower you to inspire, to educate, and to give hope to those facing challenging and complex life issues so that you will be able to speak up, to speak out, knowing you will be heard. And most importantly, you won't be judged or stigmatized. We live in a society where there are certain topics people just want them to be swept under the carpet. But at the same time, people are dying in silence, and people are afraid to speak up because they thinking, what will people say if I open up to what I am going through? When you open up, when you share your story, part of it is to heal yourself and also to help another person heal. So you're all welcome to our show today, where we will be giving a voice to relapse from psychosis, depression, and anxiety with our special guest, Patience Abonge. So you are welcome to the Voice of Hope Media today. So introduce yourself and let us know again who Patience is. Thank you.
I am grateful to be on your show again. Like I said, since COVID happened, a lot of people have been doing shows online. So for me to have a face to face with you, it's a privilege, and I'm always grateful to be here with you to share, because you've been an inspiration and a motivation for me, particularly starting from when I knew you as an autism mom, which inspired me to be the mother I am to my autistic son. So my name is Patience Abonge. I am a mother of two. I've got two adorable kids, Jason, who will be 10 on the 15th of June, and Courtney, who is 7. So I am an advocate for mental health for myself, and equally using my story to inspire and encourage and empower, especially young girls, women, and the entire society as a whole about the issues that can, cause us to become mentally ill. So, stemming from our childhood trauma, traumatic experiences that shape us to become the adults that we become in the future. So, yeah, I create content on especially TikTok. I think that's my happy place now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the community out there is welcoming. So I do a lot of content about, raising this awareness about childhood trauma, how they can affect us as adults, and how that led to me becoming mentally ill, and to create awareness around that stigma that has to do with mental illness, especially in our African communities where we are stigmatized as mentally ill people without knowing exactly the root causes of these illnesses.
Thank you so much. You all heard. So if you are a parent and you are watching this episode today, take note. She's mentioned childhood trauma. She's mentioned mental health problems. So there is a link. There is a relationship between childhood trauma and mental health. It says childhood trauma because in the long run it will affect you. So the way you were brought up in you were brought up as a child will have an adverse effect in your adulthood. And if that's not picked on earlier, so at some point everything will be going wrong with you mentally. Unfortunately, not everyone will know or will question, but where is this coming from? And there's that necessity to always ask that question to find the root cause of everything, like you've said. So we just want to welcome all of you here watching. Once more, our topic of discussion is so we are giving a voice to relapse with psychosis, depression, and anxiety with our guest speaker, patients. Angel Trente, we welcome you here. Miranda Alubafi, thank you so much for watching. You say you're watching from KwaZulu, that's in South Africa. So I really appreciate you. I know we've come a long way and you understand a lot. Patience, thank you so much. Another patience, go. Thank you for joining in. And if possible, guys, you take notes as well. Or if you have questions, you pop them here. And once more, if you are new, I'm Asimbeng, the host here at the Voice of Hope Media. I'm an author of a book called Grief to Greed. I'm also an autism mom and autism ambassador in my community. And I am here through the Voice of Hope Media as the leading voice of hope and empowerment, giving hope to those who have faced some challenges or complex life issues, including special educational needs. So, at the Voice of Hope Media, we educate, we empower, we inspire, and we give hope to everyone who has faced some challenges. Anyone who has that who has faced who has experience with those topics, those taboo topics that you are afraid to talk about, that you don't know what people will say when you open up. This is a safe space for you. If you have one, you get in touch and we will book you in to have a show with you. From now onwards, we will be having lots of face to face episodes like this. The aim is to help others open up a conversation, have that open conversation about issues which people will normally not want to talk about in the public. So you're welcome once more. So let's dive into our topic of discussion today. As patient has mentioned, she's a mental health advocate for herself. So she's going to talk a bit more on that. How did you start? How has your journey with mental health? Where did it start from?
That was in 2016 that I had my first episode with psychosis, depression, and anxiety. But I would say it had started before then, which, we ignore the signs because we don't want to accept, or at the time I didn't know. I didn't know anything about depression. I didn't know, but when I found out that my son was autistic, I would say I had been depressed right from that time, which was in 2012 when, no, 2000, around 2014,
Yeah.
when I got his diagnosis. So I have been I've experienced psychosis in 2016, 2018, and last year I was on your show in May, and
Yes.
I had a relapse in July of 2021. So yeah, why I decided to, use my story to share with the community or the society is to actually give you, because a lot of people don't know or are not aware that mental illness can be stemmed from a childhood traumas.
Yeah.
The first time when I experienced it, I didn't know. So I didn't know what I was actually experiencing.
Yeah.
And the second time, and then I started doing research for myself to find out what's the cause of me losing touch with reality, because psychosis has to do with me losing touch of reality, smelling things that don't exist, seeing things that don't exist, hallucinating. And from my research, I found that I had to do with childhood experiences. And that was so true in my case, because I had experienced a lot growing up as a child where my both parents were not there in my life. I didn't have I don't know my dad, and my mother was never there for me. And, growing from one place to another and, experiencing those difficult childhood memories and just the trauma of me not having both parents in my life cost me a lot of emotional and damage, and an abuse that I experienced as a child as well contributed to all of these factors. And then growing up and having a son that that, oh, you're finally a mom, and then you find out that your son is autistic. I think that was the first cost of my experience with psychosis. And then the second time, it had to do still with the same issues, but I had to start doing a lot of research and finding out that I wasn't really happy where I was, which now led me to the third episode of my psychosis that had to do with my marriage. I was on your show last year, but I didn't mention that I was I'd asked for a divorce. I was going through a divorce. So that was a big hit, and how I relapsed last year of 2021. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Before we continue, it's worth mentioning that May is we have Mental Health Awareness Week, our awareness month here in the UK. We had it a couple of weeks ago, and the theme was loneliness. How do you think loneliness affects someone who already has an underlying mental health issue?
Depression alone, even when I'm experienced, I speak from my experience, and I think people who have gone through this experience can attest to that. Depression alone, you feel lonely because you feel rejected, but not deliberately, but because people don't know how to approach you when you're depressed. How the care and support that you get from the community or the people or the loved ones around you sometimes. It doesn't come from a place of hate, but from a place of misunderstanding. That alone can make you feel lonely in its own. And then now the last phase of my depression, where I was lonely, as in alone in a house, I could feel the impact of loneliness and depression. So the first two episodes or first two experiences, I had people which, like I said, depression alone, you feel lonely even in the midst of people. But now I am actually alone. So that,
so it's quite funny because you can still be in
the midst of people and you're still lonely.
And to just to add to what you've just said, because when you have depression, you lose touch with those things that
motivation
you
and the things you love to do.
So you don't really do a lot of the things that you used to like before. You lose interest, and then you also go through a phase where you don't feel like
getting out of bed,
seeing people getting out of bed. So that alone as well leads to some form of loneliness as well, because you want to be to yourself. You feel like there's nothing out there to go out to do. Like everyone seems to be having fun, and you don't feel like
you can be in a party. You can actually be physically present in a party, but you're lonely.
and you're not there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's okay. So you mentioned that after, I think, May last year,
Mm-hmm.
you you had a relapse. Was there a trigger, or is that usually a trigger?
Yes, there's always a trigger.
Mm-hmm,
So, because I'm talking about the relapse, which I would specify on the episode of last year,
mm-hmm,
like I just previously mentioned before you came back to the question to
mm-hmm,
say my divorce
mm-hmm,
or was a big trigger,
mm-hmm.
because the change and
Yeah.
everything that was going on in the relationship
Mm-hmm.
was a trigger.
Yeah.
And so all that I was going through at the time, and yeah, it was tough.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big trigger for me, and I ended up in a mental hospital again.
Mm-hmm. And that's a very big decision to take, which normally you cannot just get up one day and you say, no, I'm doing this, I'm leaving. It must have been something which you've put a lot of thoughts into it, and then you finally got to that point where you kind of, you were ready to make the next move, which means decisions like that, you also have to grieve. Is it on? Check on the wall. Here, here, on the wall here. Sorry, guys, let's check out.
And they are.
No, the video on. Sorry, guys,
Sorry.
we had to charge to charge the laptop before this goes off. So I was just saying that decisions like that, like asking for a divorce, would have been something you had um, put a lot of thoughts into it, and it kind of grieved in anticipation, or grieved towards that decision you were about to
Of
make. But
course. Okay.
how do you feel now in terms of your mental health?
Of course, like you rightly put it,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a day's decision. It's not a decision that you just wake up one morning and you make that decision. The relationship was toxic.
Yeah.
I would say it
Mm-hmm.
had gotten to a toxic point where, it was affecting my mental health. I
Yeah.
had to come to that realization and accept
Mm-hmm.
that this relationship is not working for me. It's breaking me down mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a tough decision. It was a tough, kids are involved and that change and everything. And yeah, so it's been difficult. It's been
Mm-hmm.
tough. And how am I coping after making that decision?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going through a healing process.
Yeah.
It doesn't just take a day for you don't make the decision and then you just say, oh, I'm feeling okay.
Yeah.
Everything is all right. No, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not. I'm still going through a healing process. It's a journey. There's still a lot of emotions involved, especially the divorce had to do with the biggest betrayal of my life that I would want to talk about next time on your
Next
show,
time.
some other
Yeah.
time.
Uh-huh.
Of course, not now.
Yeah.
So that would be betrayal and
Mm-hmm.
divorce. I think
Yeah.
that topic,
Mm-hmm.
I'll need to address that.
Absolutely.
And going through that betrayal and the
Mm-hmm.
divorce
Mm-hmm.
on its own,
Yeah.
I mean, it was huge for me to deal with. But
Mm-hmm.
if there's anything I have to say to myself, is like I'm proud of how I picked up myself,
That's right. Mm-hmm.
the earlier you accept certain, tough, painful circumstances in your life, the earlier you pick up yourself. And
Sure.
that is where I was. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, girl, you've been here many times. You've been broken down many times and you didn't give up. You're
Mm-hmm.
not giving up this time around. Like, you're not putting a smile on anyone's face, but
Mm-hmm.
you're using your story to impact and, let people know that you can fall down 1,000 times no matter
Mm-hmm.
what and still rise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's very powerful, and thanks for that. It's worth mentioning that having depression or any mental health problem is, it's not our. We are not responsible for going through that. But I would like to point out that it is our responsibility to be happy again. It is our responsibility to be healthy again and seek the help that we need. We need out there, because mind you, when you are down there, the world doesn't stop.
Doesn't.
No, the world doesn't stop for
I'll
you
give
to
you,
get better.
I'll give you an example. When I was in
Mhm.
hospital last year, the 30th of July,
Mhm.
you know, I was being tranquilized
Yeah.
to be calm, to be quiet, to stay still, just so that the workers can do their job, as we know,
Mm-hmm.
and which they were doing their job, but without knowing the amount of stress I was going through.
Yeah.
And the war was going on because I was
Mm-hmm.
stressed over the fact that my own community
Mm-hmm.
was going on
Yeah.
and the world was going on.
Yeah.
But I was there,
Absolutely.
no one stopped their whatever they had to do on that particular day that I've mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And that taught me the greatest lessons of my life.
Yeah.
And after coming out from hospital, and a friend said to me, "So people that life no work because you did mental hospital."
Mm.
That was a great lesson.
Yep.
Yeah, it might sound negative, but I took that as a positive to say,
yeah.
okay, yeah, at the end of the day, no one's life would stop. Even if I die today, you would live,
Yeah.
you eat, you sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lesson for me,
Yeah.
and I want to make it a lesson for everyone that
Yeah.
nobody's life stop, no matter what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So it's up to us
Yeah.
to do something better for ourselves.
Yes. So it's up to us to be able to pick ourselves up each time
You fall.
we fall, because to be honest, you can't stay there forever. I think at some point you actually feel like you're getting tired. But because of the mental health issues, at times you don't really realize that you've been there for too long, for a very long time. So which also brings us to the fact that a lot of awareness is still needed in our community. We still need conversations like this one, so that we should be able to help others to maybe open up, or to be able to pick up if a loved one is struggling. Because one of the difficulties that you may be very close to me, but I'm struggling mentally, but you don't know. Sometimes they can put it down to you're just being lazy. You're just giving flimsy excuses here and there, or
you're seeking attention. Because another comment, I'll go back to this statement that was made to me, that my social media cry will only lead me to one destination. And of course, that's a mental hospital.
Yeah.
From the author of this statement.
Yeah.
That my social media cry was only going to lead me into a mental. So that's gaslighting me to feel bad about myself, of which I say, even if I go into a mental hospital, it's just like any other hospital. It's just like every other hospital where you go to treat any other, illness. I can go there 1,000 times, come back, and I'll still be on the social media, because the social media community has really, really, really been supportive. And the fact that a lot of people have made me to understand that telling my story has empowered them, equally empowers me more to come back, and still keep telling the story.
So which goes to show that our mental health is equally as important as our physical health. So if someone has a broken leg, and that person goes to the hospital, someone with a broken brain should equally be able to go to the hospital,
of course,
to seek the help that is needed. Because mind you, there's help out there. There's nothing in being ashamed of your circumstances. We have people, maybe they didn't experience childhood trauma, but they had postnatal or postpartum depression that didn't stem from childhood. So at any one point in anyone's life, you can be hit by a mental health problem. So what do? We take care of ourselves. If we find avenues like this one, platforms like these, we get engaged and we listen, we help, to in order to learn and know how we can help our loved ones as well. So our next question, how does it feel being able to pick yourself up? That is the comeback after falling. Usually the aim is to be able to pick yourself up at some point. How does it feel, and what steps did you take to be able to pull yourself up? And I know you do a lot of exercises and stuff.
Yeah.
So tell us more, the things that you did, because people watching will be able to learn as well. We may be having someone right now who has been indoors under the blankets with curtains closed, and they don't feel like getting out of bed. What can you say to make that person feel like, oh wow, I need to get out of this bed right now?
When I came out from hospital, that was because I spent a month in hospital. So I was in hospital from July to August. I was sectioned in Section 2 Mental Health Act. So I had to spend a month in hospital. And when I came out from hospital, because while I was in the institution, this is the third time I'm in here, I know this environment so well. I know what to expect. I know how to guide them on the medications that the medications they gave me. And so I was much more aware of my environment, those psychotic and,
Yeah.
hallucinating. But I was more of like conscious around my about my environment than I was the two previous times. So I was so positive, despite the fact that I was, in that crisis.
Yeah.
While in hospital, I used to exercise. When they give me the tranquilizers, I used to exercise. And people were so surprised on how I do this. I remember there was this lady in the hospital where she was, severely depressed, and she had given up on herself, and she kept asking, how do you even smile every day? How do you even
Yeah.
how do you do it? Like, I've been here for a month with you, I see you every day. And I'm like, it's just a mindset, it's just a mindset. And I
Yeah.
know exactly where depression has put me in the past. I know how I felt. I know what that cost me. So when I came out of hospital in August, I was doing a lot of skipping. Like, I took a month challenge for myself, doing a lot of skipping to
Yeah.
keep myself going. And then I got to this betrayal that I'm saying, divorce and betrayal.
Yeah.
Trust me, I went back into depression.
Sure.
That was the whole of November, the whole of December, the whole of January. And I said to myself,
And that was in lockdown.
that was no, last year. Was
Last
it
year.
lockdown? There was no lockdown.
It wasn't in December. Yeah. It wasn't very active.
And that was me all by myself now, living alone, crying under my blanket, calling bed. I must be honest that I've had support from my friends and community like I never did before.
That's good.
Because the friends that I could call, they don't know how to help me, but they just listen for me to cry.
Yes.
So I just like, don't say anything, just listen, let me cry. Don't even ask me a question, because treat my call as an emergency. And I have those people that I can call for them to listen. I think if I did not have them, because I got to suicidal point for the first time, I've been depressed before, but I didn't feel suicidal. But it got to a point where I felt suicidal, and it makes me emotional, but we move on. And I was in bed every day crying and crying and crying and I said I went to suicide at points.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, let me just give up. But again, I remember my daughter, who actually was
Okay. Sorry. It's part of healing. Okay. Part of healing. Shed them. Yeah. Let them
I remember
flow.
even the eve of when I couldn't
Deep breath.
take it, and my daughter was like,
Deep breath. Deep breath.
Mommy, you don't need to go to work. Can you look for something else? Just
Take a deep breath. Just stop. Breathe in. Okay. Out. That's part of healing.
And for my kids, I said I wasn't going to stay in bed. I wasn't going to give up. I wasn't going to give anyone the satisfaction.
The tissue in the kitchen.
Is it all right? I wasn't going to give anyone the satisfaction in this life to see me gone before my time. And I lay in bed and I said to myself, Patience, who were you before
All this.
being a mentally ill or being in a mental institution? Who were you? And I said to myself, you're very happy, jovial, and you know who you are.
Yeah.
And from February, I picked up my rope again and I started skipping. And that is how, I beat the fear of depression. And before that, and my mental health team too was very, supportive. I was in therapy and doing coping skills. And so the whole of February, January, I was in therapy. And yeah, so I just started skipping, and I realized that, but this story around the betrayal kept going on every day, and I was trying to deal with it. And, but I found a community on TikTok where I just go on there, share my story, meet people out there that, we can interact and talk about these hard issues that even your own family members who want you to sweep under the carpet, even the community, the society would think it's a taboo to talk about them. So me owning my voice, being proud of who I am and not letting anything stop me has given me the encouragement and, the power to just keep going, because no one, no matter what people say to me, sometimes it's just nice to hear nice things from people. It's just encouraging to hear things from people. It's just a good thing to, hear people say nice things. It
Yeah.
helps with you, but the real work is
It's
for
you.
you to do it.
Yeah.
So, I could lie on my bed every day. You call me every day to say, oh, patients, wake up. It's okay. But I
You
have to
have
do
to
the waking
decide.
up myself.
Yeah.
And that is where my superpower was lying. Like, you have to do something. You have to. For your kids, the girl, like, I couldn't, disappoint my children. So for my children, I
Mhm.
had to wake up. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's powerful. Yeah, that's powerful. Thanks, guys, for watching. We are still here, and our topic of discussion today is relapse with psychosis, depression, and anxiety with patients Abonge. Each time I want to say patients anger for, so I should adopt you, right? So patients and
Abonge.
patients Abonge is our guest speaker today. You've listened, you've watched, and you've seen the tears. If you haven't been there, you will not know where it pains. Being vulnerable is not weakness, as they say, because not everybody is strong enough to sit here, to sit on social media and talk to the whole world with tears rolling down your eyes. Those tears they came down from a place of love.
Hmm.
Yes, because you know what your daughter or your children had experienced, and you don't wish
That
that
for them.
to
Yeah.
happen anymore. And that takes me to my next question. How are you raising your children that's different from how you were raised? Because that's where the childhood trauma started.
Yeah.
Some people have the tendency of using the same method that was used on them to raise their own children. You wouldn't want that to happen to your children. So, what differences are you making for your children to grow up better?
First of all, I have a disabled son and my daughter. So my son is not, I don't want to dismiss the fact that he's not so much aware of the things around him. He is aware, of
Fully
course.
aware.
He's fully aware, but because he cannot express himself to
Yeah.
tell me exactly how he feels. So most of the times I take what my daughter says because my son cannot express how
Yeah.
he feels. So as a girl child who grew up in a traumatic environment, community, society, and very tough emotional feelings, of course.
Yeah.
Getting divorced was never or an example whatever I have loved to show my daughter to begin with. But again, being in a toxic relationship was not a thing that I was going to let my daughter see from me. I was not going to be an example for my daughter to be in a toxic, because being in that toxic environment alone it's traumatizing for the kids.
Yeah.
It's damaging enough for her own mental health. I know she's experiencing trauma for them from the separation and all that is going on now, but I believe she'll be a very proud daughter to have, grown up to know why I left in the
Why
first place.
yes.
And she'll be proud I made that decision, because what if I stayed in that relationship and ended up dying someday? Yeah, she would have lost me. So, in as much as I would have loved to stay married, but I wanted an example for my daughter, to be proud of, and never grow up to accept a man or accept being in a relationship simply because she wanted to please a man. So I was there to, show that example to my daughter that, you can be strong on your own, regardless, and just be an example for her.
Okay, that's brilliant. So before we continue, let's just acknowledge there are a few comments here from our viewers, from the audience. So we have a look at a few of them. But before then, I just want to appreciate each and every one of you watching. Yes, talking about mental health issues, usually it's one of the emotional topics, one of the sensitive or the taboo topics that we talk about here at the Voice of Hope Media. Obviously, almost everyone in the world has had a mental health issue or will at some point in his or her life. Mind you, these are issues that affect people. We are not talking about this because we've read from books.
Books, no,
No,
living experiences.
because we've heard somebody talked about it, their lived experiences. I myself have been through it. Yes, during lockdown, almost all of us struggled.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially people who have had some underlying mental
Had
health
issues.
issues.
Yeah,
Yes,
during the lockdown, I
it
had
was
a
terrible.
psychotic episode. But
Yeah.
the thing is, the reason why I didn't learn in hospital was because of the lockdown,
Mm-hmm.
where
And the
you,
25 push-ups.
yes,
You-
yes. No, not
Oh,
even the
wasn't
25
that?
picture.
Yeah.
It was because of the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then that was when I realized that most of the things that would cause the psychosis was stress and sleeplessness. Because I remember I slept for 2 days continuously.
Mm-hmm.
And then I woke up and I felt okay. I stopped hallucinating, but I had hallucinated for like 3 days being at home
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
during the lockdown.
Yeah.
And, so I can say I've experienced psychosis 4 times and not 3 times. Like, yeah, it's just that one I didn't end in hospital.
Yeah. So guys, I hope you're listening very keenly, because there are quite some pertinent points we are bringing out here, which are very important, and which, when you listen and you understand, you may be able to look around you and see how you can help people who are struggling with a mental health problem. So let's check out some of the comments from Miranda. It's for you.
Patience Prod, you could talk about all that you went through. Okay, you just answered my question. Characteristics of depression, etc. You both are strong women. Thank you so very much, Miranda.
Thank you, Mira. I guess she wanted to ask what are some of the characteristics
Yeah.
of depression. Yeah. The best thing you did was knowing your triggers and avoiding them. Definitely knowing your triggers, avoiding them, and also knowing the root
No,
cause.
sometimes you cannot avoid your triggers. Sometimes you cannot. Yeah, it's good that you know and then you learn from them.
Or
like, for instance, like,
I do things proactively.
yeah, because okay, divorce is something that you cannot. If anyone out here has been through a divorce or is going through a divorce, it's not something. That's a trigger that you cannot avoid. It would bring you down. If you've been in a relationship, in my case, for 11 good years, that's a trigger that you cannot avoid.
Yeah. Okay.
Betrayal is a trigger that you cannot avoid. So you go through the pain.
Yeah.
Which is something that it's okay to cry. It's okay to go through that pain, but don't stay there for too long. That's a lesson I learned.
Yeah. So which goes to knowing the root cause of
the problem.
Yeah, of the psychosis.
Yeah.
And then trying to deal with it, or trying to manage it in the best possible way.
But psychosis, I would say the triggers has to do with all this, this tough emotional problems, and then sleeplessness contributes a great deal. When you start having insomnia, you can become psychotic.
You can't think properly. You can't think properly. If you haven't had a good rest. Yeah. So Eorella says the biggest healing is acceptance and not living in denial. Yes, because it is equally a process. When you're going through it, you go through that denial phase.
Now I live. You don't know. I am so proud of when people know, like, for instance, that patient craze don't start again. Sure. I am so proud of myself to tell people that I've been psychotic. It's
they know what to expect.
They know what to expect. So if you see me tomorrow and I post again that I'm in a mental hospital, let it be okay. It's not something to gossip about and say, that ye craze don't start again. Like, I'm proud to tell you that, yes, I'm in a when people are sick of cancer, when people are sick of other illnesses, it's okay. So can we normalize, someone being psychotic or being having mad, mental illness?
So Rella says again, it takes a lot for Black people to stand out and say they are struggling with mental health issues. That's very true. Some diagnoses are a combination of pain within which leads to total breakdown. Absolutely. Most Black people are built to absorb pain and live in tolerance, not knowing how it can cause so much damage in their mental state. We are scared of what people will say, hence we die in pain.
Of course,
we need to learn and speak up. Well done, Brella, we really need to learn and be able to speak up and be able to help ourselves, because we keep saying, I don't know what people will say, I don't know what
For the
people will
sake
think.
of the
um
whatever, the sake of the
yeah,
family name, the sake of
yeah,
community, sake
mm-hmm,
of even,
yeah,
church community, like, just live your life, be true
mm-hmm,
to yourself, because the feeling I have a peace, I'm healing, but
mm-hmm,
I have this peace within me.
yeah,
This peace within me, like, I don't owe anyone justification of how I
mm-hmm,
live my life, because
mm-hmm,
I'm living my truth.
yeah.
Like, I don't need to justify
and
anything to anyone.
and remember that sometimes it is a process. As you are going through the healing process, at some point you can still relapse.
Yeah, 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 of
Yes,
course. So
you will
if
have
tomorrow you
happenings.
hear I'm still in the hospital, let's not be a surprise that, oh, yesterday
Mm-hmm.
she spoke about it. We have cold, we have relapses, we have cold, we have
Yeah.
relapses. Some
Mm-hmm.
people have cold over and over again. Some people
Yeah.
have headaches over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's just knowing what to do. When if you protect yourself, like wear warm clothes during the winter, you
Mm-hmm.
hardly catch cold.
Yeah.
And you might not, catch a cold. But if you expose yourself and wear skinny clothes, you know what's going to make you catch a cold. So that is
Mm-hmm.
exactly how, mental health or mental illness is. I have now known the causes. I now know what triggers me. I
Yeah.
now know how to protect myself. Yeah, I can still relapse.
Yes.
We still protect ourselves from cold, but we still catch cold.
Mm-hmm.
I can still relapse because every day we face issues. I am more vulnerable now, in my mental health than someone who has never experienced, psychosis or depression and all
Yeah.
of that. I
Mm-hmm.
am vulnerable but than any other person. So I can easily become mentally, have an episode than someone
Mm-hmm.
who
Who,
never
who
had it
never
before.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And this also, what I wanted to mention is just being able to sit and talk and share all that you've shared can actually
That's why I
also
said I
lead
love
lead
the
to a relapse
TikTok.
as
The
well.
TikTok
So
community is a great platform where
mm-hmm,
on there you feel like this is family.
mm-hmm,
We talk, we people are just open.
yeah,
Like, that is where, if I have, like, okay, 2 weeks back,
mm-hmm,
I was I was at a place where, I was dying literally.
yeah,
And I just went live.
mm-hmm,
About 7,000 people, I'm not joking,
mm-hmm.
calls in and out, and that helped me.
That's great.
That helped me.
And it helped others
It helped
watching as
others. It
well. Yeah.
empowered others as well watching.
Mm-hmm.
Because just the fact that someone can write to me to say, "Oh, you inspire me," it makes me heal. It's healing me.
It is.
It's just that people don't understand the power of
Healing.
social media
Yeah.
or the healing, because we are still attached to the shame, stigma, and
Mm-hmm.
disgrace.
Yes.
That is what we are attached to. But if I'm telling my story to empower someone, if I'm telling my story for someone to empower me, then
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, it's a great thing.
It is.
Mm.
Yeah. And Miranda also says, "Patience, you are a beautiful woman. Cry more if that makes you feel better."
I
Yeah.
wish the tears was still there to cry.
In my very busy schedule, I find myself watching today's show so emotional. I could hardly listen to you when you started your story. Thank you so much, Miranda. I really
Thank you,
appreciate.
Miranda.
Yeah,
Thank you.
do appreciate you, and thank you for joining in, watching, and sharing. So, and extremely emotional. Yep, I don't know why I didn't have tears, but they were right there, sitting at the back of my eyes. But yes,
You have to be professional.
well, well, the good thing is that you stopped crying. I would have just joined in. Sometimes when you're a mom and your baby is crying, you
Yeah.
just join in, then you cry, you cry
Mm.
it out, and then you feel better later. So, patient hugs, sweetheart. Yeah, you are stronger than you think. God will see you through. Oh, yes, He
Thank
will.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much, guys. We still have a couple of minutes to go. So let me just look at the. Okay, let me read this question right.
Mm.
Cultivating joy and happiness in one's life on a daily basis are some of the fundamental aspects of well-being in everyone, especially those struggling with a mental health issue.
Mhm.
So how do you do that? Because every day I just feel like I should follow you and
the
start
tr-
dancing
the
one
truth
leg.
the truth is naturally people who know me growing up, I think a lot of them were even shocked when I put out my story the first time last year of
Mm-hmm.
May Awareness Month, because I
Mm-hmm.
have always been this happy, jovial person who
Mm-hmm.
looks like someone who has no problems in the world, in the
Mm-hmm.
eyes of the world, like, oh, she's always happy. So I have this personality that I can make myself happy unless I
Mm-hmm.
am really in that position where
Yeah.
when I'm depressed, that
Mm-hmm.
I own it. And this is one thing I'll tell people, that own it. A lot of people that don't call depression on yourself. I'm not calling depression on myself. I am depressed. I
Yeah.
am
It's
ill.
there.
I
Yeah.
need help. I need
Mm-hmm.
support.
Yeah.
When you have a cold, you don't say, oh, no talk say you get kata. You never hear someone say that. No talk say you get headache. You never hear someone say that.
So you
But
get
when
that.
they say I get headache, you hurriedly go to the shops to get
You get your
medications,
paracetamol.
paracetamol to get.
Mm-hmm.
So if we start owning it, to say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's an illness. So what's next to do?
Yeah.
So, like I said, naturally I'm a happy person. And what I said to myself is, you fake being happy until you're really happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I got out of my bed.
Yeah.
Making video. I was making videos on TikTok when I was breaking.
Yeah.
The happy videos,
Mm-hmm.
motivating people who even never knew what I was going through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Because you felt good
I
doing
faked. No,
that.
no,
Mm-hmm.
no. I was dying. I faked being happy until I
You
became really happy.
Mm-hmm.
They say fake it, you make it. But my faking was faking to be happy
Mm-hmm.
until I actually became happy.
Yeah.
Because I realized that when you sit in those thoughts, you sit in that mode,
Ooh.
you drown yourself. But when
Mm-hmm.
you put an happy countenance, happy emotions just spark up within you,
Yeah.
and the fact that you're making some other person smile, it
Mm-hmm.
pushes me to do more.
Yeah.
And it encourages me as well. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, because they usually say those who have a lot of issues are mostly those who have who usually have that constant smile on their face, and sometimes that smile alone is a coping mechanism.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
it's a coping mechanism, because if everyone had to carry their burdens, their issues, their troubles, their problems on
The
their
world, the
faces,
entire world, be a sad place.
oh my God, everyone will just be fighting with another, because everyone will be sad,
Yeah,
everyone will be unhappy, and just imagine how the world is going to be like. So we just really want to thank you guys for watching, um with your comments. Someone says he's new here. I don't know if it's a he or a she. The name is Toujours.
Oh
Toujours
yeah, and she
Jia
follows me on
Jia
my
Wong.
Facebook.
Okay, thank you so much for
Hi,
tuning in.
Teju.
Mhm. Then we will come back to the comments just when we are about to end the show. But we have two more questions to go. So, what message would you like to send to women like you, like myself, or others that are still hiding in shame about their
If
mental illness?
before you even finish this question, if I could use a mic to say, own your truth, your voice.
Stand on the roof.
There is power in owning your truth.
Yeah, can you
It
stand on the roof?
sends it sends even your enemies into their shells. Like,
Mhm.
owning your truth is it's the highest superpower you can ever have. Like,
Owning your voice.
owning your voice. Like, yes, this is who I am. That's a period and on the other person, because now she has said it herself that she's been in a mental hospital. What have you got again to say about me? She has said she was violated at the age of 6. What she has said, she's getting a divorce. What else have you got to say? I have said it myself. That is my voice, that is my truth. So women, own your truth. Don't die in silence, and don't die in toxic relationships.
You've heard it. You've heard it from the cow's own mouth or from the horse's own mouth. You've heard it. She said it. Own your truth. Own your voice. Be able to speak out. Be assertive, because most women are not. We are afraid.
We are afraid of what people will say, what the community will say, what the
Yeah.
society will say. Honey, once you're gone, you're gone. No one really cares.
Yeah. But mind you, before you take any decision,
think about it.
Think about it. Weigh the options. Know if that's the best thing you are doing. You may be listening to us on this show. Usually we speak from our experiences, but do not follow the sheep and jump in the hole. Make sure it is your decision. what Patience is sharing today, it's her experiences. She's not asking you to
See,
go
of
out there
course,
and
let
do
me
exactly
see the
what
same thing
she
I've
did.
done. Yeah,
We are all individuals.
individuals and
It just
different.
happens that sometimes we have similar experiences, but Patient's experience will always be her experience. That's why she's sharing it, to raise awareness, for you to learn, for us to unlearn some of those things we thought we knew, and also to relearn
Mhm.
and be able to open up around these conversations, to have open conversations wherever, anywhere that we are. So, our final question today is to the community. What message would you send out to the community? Here in the UK, in Cameroon, in Africa in general, many in Africa are still suffering in silence until they want to see you walk along the streets naked, picking up
They
papers.
would still stigmatize you.
Yeah.
That's even like, the message I have to send out. Last time on your show, I made the same comment. I lost a friend in 2019 who suffered from mental health issues. She was
Mhm.
stigmatized. They said she was HIV positive and stuff, and because she didn't have that support, care, and the community to support her, and she went into a lot of depression, which finally she ended up dying. So especially in the African community, how we address situations, especially emotional, we are this what's the word I'm looking for? We downplay a lot on people's emotional pain. We think
Yeah.
it's okay. We normalize a lot of things by the choice of words we use. Like, no, you be the first person we don't go through. Not only you get depression, and like the way we talk to people, can only further push people to stay in silence and not speak up and not own their truth and not you know have that community where they can share that those tough emotions. It's only better in Africa because we have the community where you're going through this, you're experiencing these issues, but you wake up in the morning, you still have someone to talk to, have a busy
life. Yeah.
pattern in life. But here, work house, work house, work house, work house. So it's on both ways, both here, the Black community, in particular the African community. I think we need to know a lot more about mental health, how to support someone going through this crisis to save more lives, so people don't end up committing suicide and taking their own lives, because that's what it leads to sometimes. Or some
Yeah.
people end up being depressed forever. As a
Yeah.
support worker, we work with people who have been depressed for years, have never left their rooms, have never left their beds because they've given up on themselves or on themselves. But if they had that encouragement, it only takes very few people to have the strength and the power to get out of depression. It is hard. I make it sound easy, but it's hard to get out of depression. It's an illness, and we need to treat it as such, as an illness, and make a better community for us all and our children in the future.
Yeah, it is. It is. Thank you so much for being here today, for being vulnerable, which is a strength, which brings out the strong woman in you, because you haven't sat here and you're painting a different picture.
Yeah.
You're trying to paint a picture of someone who has completely healed. Healing, like you said, is a process. And as you also said, depression or any mental illness should be treated as any other illness. You may not be able to take paracetamol for depression, but there are other things you can take. Yes, asking for help it's not easy for everyone, but it's necessary to ask for that help. It's necessary to go out there and seek the help that is needed. Because people may tell you you are not the only one going through it, but the reality is, at that particular moment, you are the one going through
it.
what you are going through, and you know how you are feeling. You feel like rubbish, you feel like nonsense, you feel like you've not done anything for your entire life, which are some of those little things that depression
you give up on
throws at
yourself.
you.
I love
Yeah.
makeup, I love looking good. You need to see me when I'm going through depression.
Yeah.
I don't even feel the need to get out of bed. I
Yeah.
mean, get out of bed, it's a
Mm.
big job for me
Mm.
when I'm in that depressive phase. So
Yeah.
I'm stressing that it's an illness that people just need to know how to support one another. We are all learning. The first time I was depressed, I didn't know how
Mm.
to help myself
Yeah.
because I was expecting everyone around me. And if you're depressed, one advice I'll give to you is do not rely so much on the support from the people around you. If you don't get that support, go and seek professional help or
Yeah.
go to a community of like-minded people
Mhm.
who have lived your experience, would understand you better and will give you the support, not because the people around you hate you. It's just because they've not lived your experience, so they're not coming from a place of experience.
Mhm.
They are coming from a place of ignorance, which is okay because they don't know exactly what you're going through.
Yeah.
Go to the community of like-minded people. Go to a community of people who have lived your experience. Go to a community of people who know your pain. You will
Mhm.
feel better and your healing process would be easier.
Mhm. And to add to that, because sometimes people around you do not support you the way you expect them to support you. It may be from a point of ignorance or from with the fact that they are not aware. They don't actually know what you are struggling with. So, which brings me to the point that when you are struggling with a mental health issue, talk with your immediate family, talk, share it, let them know
Mhm.
what you are going through, let them know that some days you are struggling,
Yeah.
so that those days where you feel like not getting out of bed, they will understand
Don't
that
always put up that I'll say this to
the
the women. Don't always put up that strong woman face.
mm-hmm,
Never.
yeah,
If you can't do things in a certain day,
yeah,
take a break and rest.
mm-hmm,
We are all human.
yeah,
Because sometimes we as women we forget that, and you just want to do everything in
just
the
to
house. You
carry on,
overburn
yeah,
yourself.
mm-hmm,
Darling, if this house everything is on the floor these days, I just create a space and then I climb and
yeah,
sleep because I know another day I'll be strong enough to keep things in order.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah.
My point is the person with the mental health problem should as well be able to inform the closest people around them, because sometimes we don't tell them.
Mhm.
We don't tell our closest, maybe your closest friend, and when you are struggling, they may not understand how they can support you, because them being aware as well, and that also includes other conditions or other difficulties that people are having, that because each of us has we kind of have a bubble
Mhm.
of friends, of close people, where you can actually explain
Let me
things
let
to
me
them.
use this what you just said. I
Mhm.
hope we're not out of time.
A little bit.
Sometimes even the people, let me tell you, the last
Mhm.
time I went to hospital, I used my experience for empowerment and for
Mhm.
education.
Mhm.
My closest friends, right?
Mhm.
I like few days when I was going to hospital,
Mhm.
I told them how to treat me when I'm psychotic.
Mhm.
But when I was psychotic, they still misunderstood me.
Mhm.
So not because they don't want to help me, but because they are not knowledgeable enough
Enough.
about how to handle the situation.
Yes. So.
So in that time, or
Mhm.
in that time when I was experiencing that,
Mhm.
I came across like, you know, they didn't understand me, and
Mhm.
that pushed me away.
Yeah.
So, in as much as people with depression, people with mental illness sometimes don't want to talk to the people they know
Mhm.
because we feel like they're not understanding us enough,
Mhm.
especially when we are experiencing,
Yeah.
an episode.
Yeah, there's also that fear of being judged as well,
Mm.
when you share. So we've just come to the end of the show, but before we go, let's just have a look at some of the comments. Then we have a few more minutes to go. All the times you were, I think Aquen, she said
All
she
the time I
remembers
was
when you
in
were childhood.
you said who took care of the kid? Yeah, their dad took care of them. He's a
Mm-hmm.
great dad,
Okay.
regardless. So yeah, they were with their dad. He looked after them.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Aquen. And then Yvette.
Her face is always full of smiles, no matter what. Naturally, she's always happy person. Right? Thank you, Yvette, my high school classmates.
Mm-hmm.
Sending love to
Oh,
you, my dear.
that's sweet. So that
That's
is
wow.
powerful.
Fake it, you make it.
That's
Fake the
it.
happiness to become happy, dear. That's the new faking hashtag. Fake
Uh-huh.
happiness to make happy, you being happy.
Mhm.
Watching you makes me remember our childhood days, always happy and full of laughter, courage. Thank you, Nora. Thank you, Ada.
Mhm.
Love you,
Pelage.
Lazabi. You are a strong woman. she has been like, I don't want to talk and cry anymore, but thanks, sister, you've been so amazing.
Angel,
It's an insult to tell someone they are not the only ones going through something. The
comparison is
comparison is
insane.
insane. I
Yeah,
know, but because mental illness is not physical,
mm-hmm.
that is the stigma, or that is what we go through, or we
Mhm.
have to suffer as patients facing going through the experience at the time.
Yeah, which brings me to saying that it's absolutely important for people to know the vocabulary that they can use,
Mm.
when with someone, with someone who has a mental health issue.
Mm.
So we really have to know what to say,
Know what to say and
and
what
not,
not to say.
yeah, because at times people may mean really well, but the wrong things will come out.
Mm.
Thank you, Patience.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Tuju. And then
You give me a lot of hope each time I watch you. Thank you so much. Don't close the show. It's good.
sit typing, please. Okay, thank you so much. Yes, we are going to wait for play a little bit of music to while we are waiting. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, for watching. So today was kind of a special episode. We reduce it a little bit. A special episode here at the Voice of Hope Media with Let's Give It a Voice. So we gave a voice to relapse with psychosis, depression, and anxiety with our special guest speaker, Patience Abonge. And I'm sure you've learned, you've unlearned, and then you've relearned at least one thing from this show, which I usually say when you're watching a show here at the Voice of Hope Media, do not worry about how many people are watching with you. Worry about what you are going to take away from the
From the
show,
show, of
which I
course.
know if you are honest enough, you tell me that AC, Patience, I've learned one thing from this show today, which I, being the host, I have learned quite a lot. And when we learn, what do? We help others.
Others, yeah.
Yes,
Mm.
because topics like this, it will also help you to be able to recognize or to guess that maybe a family member, a friend is struggling, and you may be able to do something, either to talk to them or to advise them to seek further help. So yeah, so we have Lizzie. Oh, Lizzie Big Mommy.
I am sure you have heard this enough, but still wanted to was I reiterate that I sent one of your videos to my sister who is going through mental health challenges but still finding it difficult to accept. It was helpful. Thank you. Thank
Wow.
you so much. No, your comments and telling me the positive things are never enough. Like, I want to hear them, because like I said, it's a process. I'm going through I'm not a superhuman being. I'm not strong as such. I have bad days. I have days that
Mhm.
some videos I can post old videos and you think I'm okay, which I'm not, just to encourage people as well to know that together we are stronger. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lizzie. We are really happy having you all here. So we have Lizzie Big Mommy, Atogo, Nora,
That's my
Angel.
classmate from primary school at
Whoa, so
Togonora.
you guys have come a long
Long
way.
way,
So I
yeah.
have Angel, Angel, Lizzie from Beta. Thank you so much for.
Thank you all so much for
Mhm.
joining the live. We really do appreciate you. And I hope you took something, if not for yourself,
Yeah.
but for your family members, and equally for the community, so that
Yeah.
we can make a better community and, live in love and unity, and just help a sister or a brother out. I think men go
Oh
through.
yes.
That's another
Mhm.
topic for another time.
Another topic for
Yeah.
another day, because we believe that men have to brave. They
Yeah.
have to be brave. Men don't cry.
Men
but
don't
but they
cry.
do.
But they do.
They have a special way of crying.
Mm.
So that would be another topic of discussion on mental health and men. Why don't they speak up? It's for them to talk. We
Mm.
need to give a voice to all these issues. We need to open up these conversations. So while we are waiting, Miranda pleaded that we shouldn't close the show because she still has a comment.
Okay.
I'm sure she was the one. Don't close the show.
Miranda, what's your
I'm still
comment?
typing. She said she's still typing.
Okay.
So we are waiting. This is a special week for mental health. Let's raise awareness. Yeah.
Jirenyo, Jirenyo.
And we don't have rights to the
Rest in
music.
peace.
But what's the
This song
title of the song?
is by Venoentina G Rain. I played like the joy I brought in the hospital. I was dancing every day, and the other patients like, "How do you do this?" Because I just went in there with it. This is an environment that I've been in. That's how I'm trying to make people understand that
Yeah.
it's okay.
It is. And there are some people when they've had depression for a very long time, they lose touch with happiness. They don't understand why another person should be happy. So I will understand that. Miranda, are you still there? We are still waiting for your comment.
When I heard that Nigeria was gone, on the day I was born.
Enjoy yourself, Mama.
Say enjoy yourself. Jirenyo, Jirenyo.
When you finish singing, you tell me what she's singing about.
God forgive your sins. I think she was dedicating this song to a friend that she lost.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. May God forgive. I mean, you take my life from my birthday.
It's a special week for mental health. Yeah, let's raise awareness. This problem is serious. It is indeed, Lizzie. It's a serious problem.
She's written on finally.
Okay. Reduce the volume. Let's see. I just remember this. I'm not sure of your prayer life, faith, religion, or I'm sure of that of AC Bank. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Patience, I'm a Roman Catholic Christian and I do pray novenas like crazy, and I believe in its miracle. I came across a novena to send what's that?
Dimfa.
A novena for mental health. Give it a thought, sweetheart.
Wow.
That's really what God cannot do, doesn't it? Thank you so much for sending that to me. I appreciate. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Mira, for that. We'll sure check it out. So, and that's how we close our show for today. So we gave a voice today to Relapse with psychosis, depression, and anxiety by our very special, our very bubbly and lively Patience Abonge. So stay tuned. We'll be having more episodes like this. So this is the last episode of Let's Give It a Voice here at the Voice of Hope Media for May. So our next ones will be coming up in June. We have a lot in store, so we haven't been very frequent here because we are working on something very special to be bringing it here for you guys to all learn. As we always say, you learn, you unlearn, and you relearn. So spread the word, share with your friends, because when they watch, they heal or they help another person to heal.
Yeah.
So it's a goodbye for all of us.
Thank you so much for watching and thank you for tuning in.
Thank you. So ciao and bye for now.